So real quick, guys, there are spoilers for this film. So if you wish to be unspoiled, go watch the film and then come back. You've been warned. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Ron TMHD. So yeah, this is going to be a great time. Hey guys, welcome back to an episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm Russell TMHD, and this week we watched Inside Out 2. It took 8 years for this one to release, and I will say, it was enjoyable. I did like most of it, but I do think it was not as good as the first one. But overall, I did enjoy it. I think it was fun. I did like the new ideas they brought in, and overall, I had a good time. But before I go on a whole tangent about why I thought this film was pretty good, and more, I'll tell you why, and more, back at the house.
Anxiety. I am just such a huge fan of yours. We're Riley's new emotions. Wow!
You can't just bottle us up!
We are suppressed emotions!
Let Operation New Riley begin.
Ooh, walkie-talkies. Check, check, check. Can you hear me? I gotta press the button. Go for Joy. Copy that. Over. Oh, I love them. Just don't look down and keep moving. She'll be okay, right?
50-50.
Hey guys, welcome back to an episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm Russell TMHD, and this week we watched Inside Out 2. This is obviously the sequel to the 2015 film 9 years ago. It's insane, almost 10 years ago. Inside Out, winner of the 2016 Best Animated Feature Academy Award. Also, this film is starring Amy Poehler, Kensington Tallman, and Maya Hawke. I believe those are all the names that are like the central big three of the film. Now, this film is like a direct continuation of the last film. So it picks right up basically where the last film left off, except Riley, the main girl character, is, older, and she's a teenager now. Or she just turned 13, turned into a teenager. And so essentially the film talks on basically the struggles that a teenager goes through in the vast array of emotions, that they feel, like the vast array of new emotions that they're introduced to. They're not a kid anymore, they're worried and they're anxious about a lot of things, or maybe more than they should be, right? That's kind of what this film talks about. They kind of let anxiety kind of invade their mind, they kind of let it simmer and let it just don't feel anything. They're worried all the time, they're nervous all the time, or they're always feeling some kind of negative emotion, right? And the whole film is about Joy and the main cast from the last movie trying to get back to headquarters after being kicked out by the new emotions, and trying to get back and get Riley back to her normal self, right? But then, by the end of the film, they realize that neither party can decide who Riley is as a person, that she is her own person, right? And that they should work in tandem with each other, and they shouldn't just ignore all the bad things, and only take in the good things, because that's not healthy, right? You can't just, put all those bad memories, all those bad things in the back of your head, because it'll pile up and it'll all come crashing down, right? That's kind of what this film is about, right? And I really think it's probably relatable for a lot of people, right? Because everybody at a point in their life probably felt the way Riley did. She was anxious. You were anxious about something. Maybe you weren't anxious about making it to a hockey team or whatever, but you were worried about something. You were anxious about something, right? That's just kind of what it's like. Your mind matures, right? And your mind starts thinking about things you wouldn't have thought of before as a kid, because you were just a kid, right? You were just having fun going through the motions, right? You didn't really think about what you were doing. You were just doing things, right? And one thing I also really like about this film is that anxiety, she's not a villain, right? She's the antagonist, but she's not the villain. There's a difference. She means well. All the emotions mean well. They all try to help Riley, but anxiety, she is simply misguided, right? She thinks she's helping Riley. She thinks that she's better, that she can help Riley better than Joy and the others can. She thinks that she can do a lot better. And she kind of goes through an arc throughout the film that, she realizes that she can't. You know what I mean? She pressures her too much, and she puts too much on her, and, you know, she's too heavy, right? So eventually, her and Joy go through a bit of an arc where they both realize that they can't control her, right? That they have, as I said, work in tandem with each other. They have to work together as like a whole unit, right? And they have to let her emotions be her emotions, right? So, and like the whole like main body of this film, like the main plot of this film is Riley and her anxiety. And essentially the film the film is about essentially anxiety taking over and kicking out the other emotions because she thinks she knows best for Riley. She knows what's best. And what she does is she basically as I said, she takes over and she overanalyzes things. She overthinks things. She looks way into the future about like really unrealistic, really doom and gloom type situations. And she ruins Riley's relationships. She makes her make a bunch of bad decisions. And it's basically just piling on top of each other. And Riley is just like a shell of her former self. Like she's kind of selfish. She's kind of mean. She throws her friends to the wayside for new friends. And anxiety is like ruining her life, basically. And that is very relatable for some people. Because obviously when you're a kid, like, obviously not all kids are like this, but a lot of kids, they don't really go through a lot as much as anxiety as a teenager would. Because as you get older, you worry about things, you overthink things, you overanalyze things, and you just get anxious over things maybe that you shouldn't, or things that are a little bit like you're blowing them out of proportion, right? Not saying that you shouldn't get anxious about things, but sometimes when you're a teenager, you do blow things out of proportion, and that's kind of what happened here. Because Riley would constantly get anxious. Oh, I'm not going to make the team, or, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm not going to be able to do this. And that was, like, the most, like, emotional part of the movie. It was the part where she's like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough to make the team. You know, I'm not good enough for my friends, I'm not good enough for my family, I'm not good enough for the team. You know, I'm a bad person, is pretty much. She's like, I'm selfish, I'm a bad person. And that's like the big emotional gut punch of the movie. But by the end of the film, she doesn't let her anxiety control her anymore. She is able to manage her emotions and maybe not overcome her anxiety, but she's able to, you know, what's the word? Keep it in check. She's able to keep her anxiety in check. And that's the end of the film is basically the new cast of emotions working in tandem with the old cast of emotions, and I think it's really enjoyable and relatable plot, and I like that, like, because if anybody of any age could relate to the anxiety plot, as I said, and I just think it's a good movie, right? I think it's a good continuation. I also like how it wasn't like a rehash of the first movie. Like, the first movie, Joy and Sadness get disconnected from the group. They are lost and stranded into, like, the memory maze, and they have to find their way back. And from the trailers, I kind of thought it would have been the same thing, except, anger and disgust and fear are here. And it would have been, you know, just them trying to get back again. But they add enough new stuff and the story is, like, pretty different. And the fact that, like, it's Riley going through problems, but it's different problems, right? And it's more teenage problems. And it fits, right? It completely matches the tone of an Inside Out film. And I really think that this film did the original justice, and it is a worthy sequel to the original film. It adds things, it adds new ideas, it makes it's interesting too. Like, the things that they add are interesting new things that you can get intrigued in, and they leave it open-ended enough for an Inside Out 3. And honestly, I wouldn't be too, you know, like, I wouldn't reject an Inside Out 3. I'm actually kind of wanting an Inside Out 3, by the way this ended. Now that all the emotions are now working together and they're not against each other, I really want to see how all of the new emotions would work with the old ones, right? Like, I really want to see how they work together, right? And that, like, it got me invested. And another thing, getting invested is Riley. I mean, obviously, so here's an example. You watched the original Inside Out, you didn't watch it for the kid, right? Realistically, you don't watch any animated movies for the kid, or like like a Toy Story movie. You don't watch it for Andy. You watch for the toys. You know, it's like any kind of film like that where there's, like, the kid who has, like, you know what, you guys know what I mean. It's hard to explain, but you guys get what I mean. And the fact that in the first Inside Out film, you didn't really care as much about Riley as you did about the mind stuff. But in this movie, I was invested, right? Like, I was invested, and I was, like, I wanted her to achieve her goals. I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to, you know, stop doing, like, not doing all these bad things, not doing all these weird stuff. Like, I was invested in her story, and that's it. That's A. That's an A+ right there, man. Getting me invested in not only the human side of the story, but also the emotion side of the story is great because they work together, obviously. So when you're invested in both, you're super invested because they both connect very hard, very, very much so. And I like that. It was just very investing, right? I'm saying that a lot. Sorry. I was very engaged. It was very engaging, right? I was very into the movie, and honestly, I would very much recommend this film. This is probably the best Pixar sequel in a long time, honestly. This one genuinely felt like they wanted to make it, and they put effort into it, and, like, it didn't feel like a cash grab because, I mean, the film, by Disney Pixar standards, is not that old, right? The first one is not that old by Disney Pixar sequel standards. And honestly, I would recommend it, you know, for Pixar fans, Disney fans, obviously Inside Out fans, you know, or if you just want to watch. Like, if you've watched the first film, like, I would definitely recommend watching the first film before watching this one. But if you really want to get, like, into engaging storyline with this character and her emotions and managing them, I would highly recommend this duology of films, which soon may be a trilogy, we don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I recommend this film. And overall, I think I'd rate it an 8 out of 10. Very enjoyable. Really liked it. And, yeah, I think it was my piece. So, guys, I hope you like this video. Share with friends. Subscribe. Turn notifications on. Comment down below if you liked it. But you guys know how it goes. I didn't mean to say that. What I really meant to say was, if you guys hated this video, unsubscribe, discontinue me in the comments. I'm Runtime HD. Off to handle my emotions. Hey guys, and welcome back to an episode of Take It Tuesday. I'm Runtime HD, and I forgot to wear my hat.